Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jen and this is my channel. I want to first start out by saying thank you all so very much for all the love and support you showed me on my last video. I cannot even begin to tell you all how much that means to me. I did not expect so much support and so much love from everyone. I honestly expected more negative feedback. I know that there are those people who chose to be negative and judgmental, but the way that life is, everybody is entitled to their opinion, and I understand that happens. I am myself not without, I can't say that I have never judged people, so I understand where that's coming from, and I don't mind it at all because, like I said, it's the way life is, and I'm okay with that. But to be positive, I want to just make sure I convey that I am so very thankful for everybody who has been there. I can't even put into words how much it means to me, and it truly does mean a lot to me. I never thought that I would have so many people care about me and my journey and just my life in general, and I'm gonna try not to cry because I'm a crier. It just means a lot to me, so thank you all very much. I know I titled this video the day after, but it's not the day after the binge, it's the day after the day that I uploaded that video. It's actually been 3 or 4 days, I think 4 days since the binge, and I haven't binged any further. I have been within my calories every day. I actually threw out the rest of the ice cream sandwiches. I probably should have made a video of me doing that, because I feel like it was a triumph for me, because it was something that I probably wouldn't have done in the past. I would have just finished eating them and said, well, I started eating them, so I might as well finish. But I did make a good choice of throwing them out. I'm not happy that I wasted the money, but like I said, I'd rather waste the money than add pounds to my already large rear. So I did take a few notes. I have to apologize for taking notes because sometimes I can't. Sometimes things just flow off of my brain very easily, and then other times I can't. I struggle to form my thoughts and to keep things kind of flowing in the direction that I want them to. So I did take a few notes on what I want to say and points I want to get across. So this is kind of just a little follow-up about addiction and my struggles. I know when I posted the video of me binge eating, I was talking about my relationship and the struggles that I'm having in the relationship. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I didn't post that video to talk about my relationship, because I'm trying to think how to say this. I didn't post the video. It wasn't specifically to focus on the relationship. It was to focus on how I react to stress and how I react to just life events by binge eating. It could have been any kind of an event, and it doesn't really matter. It's in the end, it's my choices of how I respond to things like that and how I deal with them and how I cope. So I just wanted to make that very clear. As far as, I'll just say this about my relationship, there are a few people that did comment on how unhealthy the relationship is, and I do get that. I do understand. It is a very codependent relationship. It is very unhealthy. I don't actually see the relationship lasting. I could go on and on and on about it, but he is somebody that I consider my best friend. He himself is struggling with addiction. He's not a bad person. It's just when he is using, he is not the greatest person in the world, just like we all are. But I'm not going to go too much into that because that's kind of like a personal thing. So I'm just going to comment on how it affects me and how I deal with things. So I have been a compulsive overeater and a food addict for many years. I can't even begin to tell you how long. My earliest memories of craving food and using food was comfort. It's probably about 4 or 5 years old when I was I was sexually abused as a child, and I was given food after the abuse to comfort me, to quiet me. So I quickly learned at that young age that that is what soothed your emotions, is food. So I can actually say I've been an addict for pretty much my whole entire life, probably over 35 years. It didn't become a severe problem until I was in my teenage years, and then that's when it really became a problem. I have struggled with compulsive overeating, of course, binge eating. I think they're the same things. I'm not quite sure. To me, they're the same things. I've also had touched with, somebody asked me if I have ever been bulimic. There was a small period of time where I was bulimic. I never lost a crazy amount of weight from bulimia or anything like that. I would just binge and purge, and I would purge my binges. So, but that kind of never worked out for me. I never really clicked with the bulimia kind of thing. I know clicking, that doesn't sound like the best way to explain it, but I never really felt a comfort from that because I like the full feeling. Being full and stuffed is what makes me feel safe and secure. So after you purge and you get rid of the food, you're empty again. So that was not a comfort. That was just something I didn't get into. So like I said, I've been an addict for many, many years, and even though I have been in Overeaters Anonymous, I went to meetings a lot back in my late 20s, mid to late 20s. I could probably quote you many, many passages from the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book. So I know AA like the back of my hand. I know the phrases, I know the slogans, I know the steps. I've even done the steps many times. Not all the steps, but I've done like most of the steps, pretty much a lot. So even knowing that I am a compulsive overeater and a binge addict and a food addict, I still at times think that I can just lose a lot of weight and just be cured and I won't have a problem. But the reality of the situation is this excess weight that everybody sees, and just people like to tell you, oh, just lose weight and you'll be fine. Just lose weight, just eat a salad. Everything is fine. Well, if it was that easy to just eat a salad and just lose weight, I wouldn't be the weight I am. Is there something deeper inside me that is the problem, that is preventing me from losing the weight? Diets work. There's all kinds of diets that work, but if you're not willing to adhere to that way of eating, or you're not able to because of something inside that prevents you from doing it, diets won't work. You may keep the weight off for a while, but you're just go back to the way you were. I can attest to that. Like I said, I've mentioned it a few times. Almost like 6 years ago, it was 8 years ago I started, but I lost 200 pounds. I kept it off for about 3 years, and then I slowly started gaining it all back. So I never worked on what was wrong with the inside. I focused on the outside and my physical health instead of doing both. So it's been a struggle for me, and instead of working on the inside and letting the outside follow, I've just focused on the outside. So I'm trying to focus more on the inside. Not that I'm not focusing on my food plan. I'm still doing the food plan, trying to stay under 1,000 calories, no more than 1,200 calories. But like I said, I'm trying to focus on the inside as well. So in the focusing on the inside and what needs work on the inside, that's also goes along with what I need to work on spiritually. I believe that recovery from an eating disorder is threefold. It's physical, spiritual, and emotional. And those three things need to balance in order to live a healthy, productive kind of a life. And so in doing that, even before I started working on my food plan and starting to lose weight. I started a couple years ago on a spiritual journey, and I believe that everything that happens is meant to happen for a reason. I believe that there are plans in place for your life. I believe, like I've mentioned in another video, I believe in free will, but I also believe that there are plans for your life, and God moves people in and out of your life, and He puts situations in your life for you to learn what you need to learn. So I don't believe that anything happens by accident in this world. And it wasn't until I started opening myself up spiritually that I began learning more about myself and my addiction, and why I am the way I am, and how my addiction affects people around me and affects myself too. When I met the person that I am in the relationship with now, I knew that he was a sick person, but I didn't know exactly how sick, or I didn't know to what extent that this relationship, how it would help me. And saying it has helped me sounds probably pretty crazy to some people, because I've only mentioned the negative things about our relationship. Try not to say too much. But there has been a lot of learning that has come from this relationship. My life and his life, even though we struggle with two different types of addictions, our lives mirror each other. And his life is the exact same life I lived for 34 years. His childhood growing up is almost identical to mine. His adulthood, being codependent, being dependent on other people to take care of him, that's how I was. So it was almost like looking in a mirror and seeing myself, and seeing how, and being on the other side of the addiction, being with someone that is like that, I was able to see how the addiction affects people around you. I have never stopped to think about how my eating has affected other people. I always just thought that because I have an eating disorder and I'm overweight, it was just me that it was affecting, and it was me that it was hurting. But in reality, I have caused a lot of hurt to a lot of people. I've been manipulative, I've been selfish, and not meaning to be, but in the disease and not wanting to admit that I have a problem, I have made my life about me instead of being more for accepting help and wanting to help other people. So like I said, I've been able to see, it's like looking at him and looking at his struggles is like looking in a mirror and seeing myself. So I've been able to see myself so much more clearly through this relationship. And I believe that he has come into my life for a purpose. I believe that it was to teach me what I need to learn about myself, to teach me so many things about myself, about how I need to be less I'm going to try not to cry. How I need to be less selfish and more helpful to others, and more about giving instead of taking. And I think that, like I said, everything happens in this world for a reason. And I brought out my AA Big Book because I want to read a passage. I have, over the years, I've marked many pages, written many things in my book. I've even marked this passage. I've highlighted it and put a little sticker beside it, because I've had OA sponsors, Overeaters Anonymous sponsors, and every sponsor I have ever had has told me to read this passage and read it daily, multiple times a day, because it is the core of recovery, and I truly believe it. So I'm going to read it to you guys and just kind of let it sink in, and know that this is what has helped me and what continues to help me even when I am struggling. And acceptance is the answer to all of my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life, unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, Absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism, I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate on not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. A very important passage from the big book. So that is all I wanted to say today, and thank you all so much. I'll see you guys next time.